Frost Death Knights are able to use Gargoyle if they do this correctly. Resto Shamans are getting full use out of Totem of Wrath. And every version of Druid is getting a huge DPS boost from using Trends. Now, what I'm talking about today is spec swapping, which I'm probably sure the Discords are already naming it spec weaving. I don't know, it's whatever you swap something in the game right now, it's pretty much just called weaving. Now, the idea for the video today is actually not at all original, guys. This is fully a video that Rugs has already talked about, so shout out to my boy Rugs. This is basically for huge damage as Feral, where you snapshot your Trents for some huge extra damage. You can see Force of Nature doing 21k damage. Well, what about a Gargoyle that could do something like 200k extra damage? Now, you won't have a perfect snapshot on the Gargoyle, so it'll be a lot lower, something more like 40 to up to 100,000 damage if done correctly. But today we're gonna dive into how you can do this. I'll have a link to the Rugs video in the description. I hope Blizzard patches it, but until they do, let's talk about how you can spec weave or spec swap, whatever it is, to increase your DPS. And before we dive in, today's video is sponsored by Hero Wars, an online fantasy role-playing game where you fight enemies, engage in epic PvP battles, and collect heroes to power up and make your party stronger. From now until October 31st, the Land of Dominion needs your help to open the portal. And it's kind of like the Dark Portal, but this time you can win some actual real-life prizes also. They're giving away 160 digital Amazon gift cards, ranging from $50 all the way up to $500. And to unlock this, we need 10,000 installs to open the portal and to get the prizes. So to help us reach that goal, you can enter the sweepstakes by installing the game via the link in the description, completing the short in-app tutorial, and signing up for a free game account to get an in-game ID. Entering is completely free and open to all legal residents in the US over 18 years old. The list of winners will be published on the HeroWarsPortal.com website once the sweepstakes completes. And inside the game, you can hop into some action-packed PvE content with some RPG-style campaigns. There's awesome towers to climb and some pretty intricate puzzles actually to unlock more heroes and put together the perfect party. There's also an epic PvP arena system, which we're all familiar with, guilds to join, and even tournaments to get some amazing in-game items. So to help open the portal, make sure to click the special link in the description to download Hero Wars before October 31st for a chance to win. And thanks again to Hero Wars for sponsoring today's video. So essentially on the beta, there was a lot of things you were able to do, like use abilities like Unholy Frenzy and buff your friends and then switch specs, and you would still be able to have that buff on your friends. Also, if you had a permanent ghoul, if you switched specs there, then your permanent ghoul would stay even when you moved into frost specs. So you would have 100% uptime of a ghoul, even though you didn't have the talent for it. Well, today we're talking about something that's a lot crazier, and that's kind of guardian pets. So the pets that are snapshotable, something like a Gargoyle, something like your Trents, you can summon these early before a boss, change specs, and they will remain whatever duration they have left and actually DPS your boss, which will actually be a huge boost to a lot of parses. We're gonna see some crazy cheeky things until Blizzard fixes this, which again, hopefully is really quickly. Another one that was pointed out to me in stream today is that shamans are actually getting Totem of Wrath, and you could do this probably also maybe with your feral spirits, so with your wolves, where you get these buffs, drop Totem of Wrath, change into enhancement or resto spec, and then you have that totem sitting there for the entirety of a boss, which is a huge boost to everyone's damage. Now there's gonna be a few ways to really min-max this, and one of them for Death Knights in particular is to make sure that you summon and try to snapshot your Gargoyle the last second you can right before you're about to pull a boss. And the best way to do this is with an unconscious Dig Rat. Now head over to the Barrens right down here, and you can actually kill all of these little rats in this little keep here. There's about a 3% drop rate for them to drop this item called an unconscious Dig Rat that pretty much summons another little one of these rats wherever you are. These used to be used back in Classic to gain some cheeky combo points before fighting something like Veilstraws, just for some extra DPS parsing. But right now, Gargoyle in particular, and I think Force of Nature with your Trends, also summons directly on a mob. So you can't summon your Gargoyle on a boss, it would initiate the fight. So it starts combat with whatever it's summoned on. So what you're gonna do is summon this Dig Rat, and then you're gonna use your Gargoyle on it, and Gary takes a couple seconds to actually come down. So what you'll do is instantly kill the Dig Rat, probably with something like a ranged ability. Make sure that you don't proc any of your abilities you need to move on to the boss. You'll always wanna snapshot snapshot this at least as a Death Knight by being in Unholy Presence, and also probably with a pre-pot, because Gary does a ton of damage. Seriously, gargoyles are ridiculous if you don't know already. And if you haven't seen my video of how to min-max your openers as an Unholy DK, I'll leave that up in the description, or down in the description actually. But I was doing 10,000 DPS on my Exna by the end of the fight, and I was web wrapped the entire time. That's purely because of Gargoyle and Army of the Dead. I digress. Let's get back into it. So what you're going to want to do is summon your gargoyle. The dig rat itself will start to run away. Make sure you kill it instantly, and then you're going to spec swap. And right after your spec swap is when you're going to basically pull the boss. Make sure you put on a new presence, so go directly into blood presence and now run directly into the boss. I tested it out in raids today for the first time and got an extra 20,000 damage, but that was a really bad snapshot. I was really far away from the boss, and make sure you kind of rocket boots and get in early, because you need to send your pet right away. You want it to have as much uptime as humanly possible. Now, if you can do the same thing on like the last trash pack right before pulling a boss, this also totally helps, because you might have some procs rolling to snapshot into your gargoyle for some extra boosts of it, but you'll probably want to make a macro that instantly changes your specialties and then instantly make sure you get into blood presence. Now, I don't know all of the things you can do with specialization swapping right now, guys. I don't know which specs and which classes really benefit from this, but it is huge for the ones I mentioned: shamans, druids, and death knights. This is going to be a crazy DPS increase, and I do think Blizzard is going to patch this. One more time, I fully got this idea from the video from Rug, so make sure you check out his channel. He makes phenomenal content, and he's pumping on every class he plays. He's an amazing player and also an amazing theory crafter, so make sure to follow him, and I'll also link his Twitch in the description. And once again, thanks to Hero Wars for sponsoring today's video. You can download the link in the description today to start playing and enter yourself into that sweepstakes to win some pretty big cash prizes.